edge computing will become increasingly important to network operators as they build out their 5G networks and develop their distributed cloud platforms. So I'm talking today with Geetha Ram. She's Global Head of Telco Solution Incubations at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So Geetha, what are the main challenges facing telcos with their 5G edge deployments?
So first of all, thank you, Ray, for having me on. So with the edge deployment, the main things that the operators are facing right now is the challenge of the disaggregation. So they would like to disaggregate because there is a lot of positives with that, and that's why you have places like Open RAN Alliance, ORAN Alliance, and the TIPS Open RAN groups and so on to facilitate that. But then with the disaggregation comes a lot of challenges and a lot of risks. And that, along with, not only the technical part of it, which is the system integration part and so on, it's also the pricing, the CapEx and the OpEx part of it. So all of these pose as challenges to the operators.
Okay. And how has HPE been addressing these challenges?
So HPE looks at the Open RAN as much more than just the standardization of existing components. So that is one thing that I tell people. We look at Open RAN standards and we look at them as standards within existing components. And that to me is a myth because that just standardizing the APIs between existing components is not going to help realize the benefits of Open RAN. And so, as an example, what I say to people is you need to go deeper. You need to go deeper into the implementation to understand the true intent of Open RAN. What do I mean by that? If you look at the benefits that Open RAN poses for the operators in terms of CapEx and OpEx, you could say, standardizing the APIs between components reduces the CapEx and OpEx by providing the flexibility of procurement between the various, you can mix and match the various components. So shaping the procurement, that's an obvious benefit. Innovation in the various areas, innovation in the individual components so that you can mix and match the components. That's an obvious benefit of Open RAN. But HP goes beyond that. And what I mean by that is we try to go into the adjacencies. So transforming the adjacencies, meaning what are adjacencies? Cell site routers, front haul gateways, in addition to the baseband unit. So we transform those either a full disaggregation or in some cases the convergence of these and then virtualization of these components to realize the true intent of Open RAN and to realize the true benefits for the operator. And the other thing that HP does very well is help operators normalize from the core to the edge. We have a very broad portfolio of equipment and servers at the core right now, and we are extending that to the edge, meaning the benefits of that, everything from the reuse of the resources, tools, and everything, moving that over to the edge, or extending, I should say, not moving, but extending it over to the edge is something that HP provides, and that is of huge value if you look at the overall operator benefits.
And what would be the advantages of using industry standard hardware for virtual RAN deployments?
The benefits are several. If you start, the obvious benefit is that the industry standard hardware is available through innovation because there's constant innovation being done for those industry standard hardware components, as we speak. So it is a very important thing to be going into, deploying these hardware components that are constantly being innovated, and there's a roadmap for it. So you could today you could use FPGAs, tomorrow you could use EA6, the day after tomorrow GPUs. So all of these are constantly being evaluated and innovated. So that is one benefit. And the other benefit is that there's standards, tools, and resources available for use for these general purpose or x86 compute at the edge. So that means today there is skill set and resources and tools available at the data center that can then be used, reused, not reinvented, but reused at the edge. So that is another thing that is very important for the operators. And the third, in the RAN space, specifically in the RAN space, we typically talk about baseband units, and we compare the baseband units with an x86 appliance, the appliance versus an x86 baseband. But there are other components, like I was mentioning earlier. There's the front hall gateway, there's a cell site router, etc. These can all be made general purpose, either general purpose compute, general purpose NICs, smart NICs, and so on. And then the operator can scale independently in each of these areas. What do I mean by that? If they deploy something today with a certain workload and a certain capacity, and for some reason that particular area has increased traffic or increased or different use cases, then they can scale independently for the front hall, for the mid hall, or for the baseband processing very, very easily and use the latest and greatest in technology from the general purpose x86 world. And so those are the benefits that you get from a hardware perspective. And then from a software perspective, you can mix and match any kind of software on it depending upon what you would like to offer. And that is, again, dependent on your needs and the traffic patterns and the capacity patterns and so on. So all of this flexibility, okay, in terms of a roadmap and technology, as well as from procurement, is all available through, having general purpose hardware and a mix match of software at the edge.
So how is HPE incorporating its experience with virtual RAN into its development strategy? What comes next?
So one of the things that I always tell customers is for vRAN, it is not a box play for HP. We are not in the game of selling boxes, or what I call boxes is essentially servers. We are not in that space. We are in the solution space. Okay. What I mean by that is, as you very well know, today the solution, the vRAN or the RAN solution at the edge, is a monolithic solution, and there is a one neck to choke with one party providing the hardware, software, services, support, and everything. But with the open RAN and the virtual RAN, you go into a space where there's multiple parties because everything is disaggregated. Hardware from one party, software from another party, integration from another party, etc. So what HPE is doing is trying to make that transition, this different model of operation, easier for the operators. By no means we claim to be experts in everything. I mean, as an example, we are not experts in the radio, but then we are experts in the hardware infrastructure, and we are experts in creating hardware infrastructure as a solution, which includes not only the baseband components, but also in addition, the other adjacencies, like I mentioned, the cell site router, the front hall gateways, and so on. And then also working with the OS cloud providers and making blueprints out of this so that there is a pre-integrated solution at the all the way up to the OS layer for the operators. So this is what I mean by the vRAN solution. And then in addition, we also work with many of the NEPs in terms of creating the solution at the all the way up to the vRAN stack. So this is what I mean by the solution offering. So we try to make it a most competitive solution from a performance, power, and price perspective. And we're not just in the box play, but more of a solution play.
Okay, well, I mean, virtual RAN is one of the hottest areas of the telecom industry today. So it's been really
Yeah.
interesting to find out what HPE is doing in this area. Geetha, thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.